Let's welcome Liu Fok Jin.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
A dream shattered. A man cried. A nation was born. Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, beloved guests, the Fairchild Singapore factory at Lorong 3 Toa Payoh did not just happen. It was an outcome of a deliberate government strategy. That strategy broke down in 1965 when Singapore was kicked out of Malaysia. All my adult life, I believe in the unity and the merger of these two territories, said former Prime Minister Mr. Lee Kuan Yew on national television. He then broke down and cried. Anybody knew what he did immediately after such an important announcement? The older ones, anybody know?
Over here.
Well, the first thing he did was he went to the toilet to clean his face. But after that, according to Dr. Toh Chin Chye, then Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Lee went into isolation for 6 weeks, uncontactable by phone. At the end of 6 weeks, he emerged with a new strategy, and he led the nation forward with confidence, conviction, and clarity. That new strategy was first to leapfrog the region and link directly with the developed world, America, Japan, and Europe. Second, to transform Singapore into a first world oasis in a third world region. Today, we know that strategy has worked. Today, Singapore has been transformed into a first world oasis in the third world region within 1 generation. Today, we're going to get a glimpse of how the former employees of the factory at Lorong 3 Toa Payoh played a small part in this new strategy. Their story has been captured in a new book, The Fairchild Singapore Plant, 1969 to 1987, which was published and launched in February this year by Labour Minister Chan Chun Sing.
Wow.
Third chairman of EDB, Mr. Chan Chin Bok, penned the foreword to the book. In it, he described how, as a young EDB officer, he was posted to America to woo investors to Singapore to produce goods for export. The decision to approach Fairchild was made by then Finance Minister Dr. Goh Keng Swee. He had read a report that Fairchild was planning to set up a factory in Hong Kong that would employ 6,000 workers to manufacture semiconductors. These are components that are used in the manufacture of satellites, missiles, computers, and many other electronic equipment. As a young nation that has just been independent 3 years ago, Singapore needed investors such as Fairchild to provide jobs for Singaporeans. In his review of the book, current chairman of HDB, Mr. James Goh said, Fairchild provided much needed jobs for the Toa Payoh residents. President Cham Tao Soon, former Dean of the Faculty of Engineering at NUS, also reviewed the book. Professor Cham, in 1980, took up the challenge to start a new university to produce practice-oriented engineers in response to the great demand for such kind of engineers from factories such as Fairchild. I was a product of that venture. I graduated in 1985 from NTU and I started work at Fairchild as a manufacturing engineer. My job was to improve the quality and the yield of the products that were manufactured at the factory. I left 6 years later as a manufacturing manager, By then, Fairchild has been sold to a competitor, National Semiconductor. However, the former employees of the factory will gather every year during Chinese New Year to celebrate the friendships forged at the factory, as well as to recall the good old days. Their stories of who did what and why fascinated me. 4 years ago, I was responsible to organize the event. I announced to everybody that I would capture their stories into a book before they bring them to the grave. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share with you 3 reasons why you should read this book. First, the Fairchild Singapore factory at Lorong 3 Toa Payoh did not just happen. It was an outcome of a deliberate government strategy, the cooperation of various government agencies, and the hard work of fellow Singaporeans. It is such a unique and fascinating story. It will be a great read for those of you who have never worked in a factory of 5,000 employees. Second, you will get a glimpse of how the multinational-driven electronics industry powered the Singapore economy. The electronic industry has been driving the Singapore economy for the past 30 years and helped to raise the standard of living of all Singaporeans, yourselves included. Finally, you will get a glimpse of how the semiconductor products are assembled and tested in the factory. The IC, the integrated circuit, is probably the greatest invention of the 20th century, and you will get a glimpse of how that product is being manufactured in Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, we can leave behind for our loved ones our houses, our cars, and our money. But it would be more meaningful if we could leave behind for them a copy of this book that captures the spirit of the early Singaporeans and the role they play in nation building. Just for today, we're going to offer this book at $15 versus the retail price of $20 in Kinokuniya. I look forward to take the orders from you after this presentation. Back to you, Toastmasters.